Lieutenant Kate Morgan sat alone in the control room of her patrol ship, Starlight Voyager. The vast emptiness of space surrounded her as stars twinkled in the distance. She was tired after 16 hours of monitoring sensors and checking navigation systems. Her mission was simple: patrol the border between human and Xaverian territories and report any unusual activity. Kate had been on this assignment for 3 months now. The isolation was starting to wear on her. She missed talking to other humans, missed the sound of laughter, missed the feeling of sunshine on her face. But someone had to watch the border, and Kate was good at her job. The Xaverians were an alien species that humans had met 20 years ago. They looked like cats that walked on 2 legs. They had fur in shades of blue and purple with tails that showed their emotions. Their eyes glowed in the dark, and they could see heat patterns. Kate had studied them at the academy, but had never met one in person. Relations between humans and Xaverians were peaceful but tense. Neither side fully trusted the other. Both species claimed the same planets in this sector of space. The current agreement divided the territory equally, but both sides kept constant patrols. Kate was checking the long-range scanners when an alert sounded. A small ship had appeared on her sensors. It was drifting without power in neutral space. Kate zoomed in with the ship's cameras. The vessel was Xaverian in design, but it was a civilian craft, not military protocol. Said she should report the ship and continue her patrol. But something made Kate hesitate. The ship's life support systems were failing according to her scans. There was one life sign aboard growing weaker by the minute. If she did nothing, the person on that ship would die. Kate could not let that happen, not even if it was an alien. She altered course and approached the drifting vessel. As she got closer, she could see the damage. The engine section was blackened as if from an explosion. Kate brought her ship alongside the damaged craft and extended the docking tube. She put on her sidearm just in case this was some kind of trap. When the airlocks opened, Kate entered the Xaverian ship. The air was thin and cold. The emergency lights cast everything in a dim blue glow. She found the pilot slumped over the controls. It was a female Xaverian with violet fur and delicate features. She was still breathing, but barely. Kate had basic medical training for all species. She could see that the alien was suffering from oxygen deprivation, and cold Kate lifted the Xaverian in her arms. The alien was lighter than she expected, despite being taller than most humans. Kate carried her back through the docking tube to the Starlight Voyager. The ship's medical bay was small but efficient. Kate placed the alien on the examination table and let the automated system begin treatment. While the medical system worked, Kate returned to the Xaverian ship. She downloaded the ship's logs and collected some personal items that might belong to the alien: a bag of clothing, some data storage devices, and what looked like scientific equipment. When she was done, she sealed the damaged ship and returned to her own vessel. 3 hours later, the Xaverian woman opened her eyes. They were a striking silver color that seemed to shimmer in the light. The alien looked around in confusion, then focused on Kate. She spoke in a musical language that Kate did not understand. The universal translator on Kate's wrist processed the sounds, then produced an English translation. "Where am I? Who are you?" Kate explained that she had found the alien ship drifting without power and had brought her aboard for medical treatment. The Xaverian nodded weakly. "My name is Mireya. I am a scientist studying stellar phenomena. My ship's engine malfunctioned. I tried to repair it, but there was an explosion. I remember nothing after that. You were lucky I found you," Kate said. "Your life support was almost gone." Mireya struggled to sit up. Her movements were graceful even when injured. Her tail swished behind her, showing her agitation. "I must return to my ship. My research. Your ship is badly damaged," Kate told her. "You can see it through the viewport." Mireya looked out at her small craft now, secured to the side of the human vessel. She slumped back on the examination table. "I have failed." Then Kate felt sympathy for the alien. She knew how it felt to have a mission go wrong, to feel like you had failed. "What were you researching?" she asked. Mireya hesitated, as if deciding whether to trust the human. "I study the origins of life in this sector. I believe I have found evidence that both our species may have a common ancestor. Kate was surprised. This was controversial research. Most Xaverians believed they were superior to humans. They would not want to hear about common ancestors. Is that why you were alone in neutral space? Kate asked. Was your research not approved? Mireya's ears flattened against her head, a sign of distress. My superiors think my theories are dangerous. They limited my funding, so I continued alone. Kate helped Mireya to stand. The alien was still weak, but the medical treatment had stabilized her condition. Kate showed her to the ship's small guest quarters. You can rest here. I salvaged some of your belongings from your ship. Mireya looked around the human quarters with curiosity. Everything was designed for beings without tails. The bed was too short. The chair had no opening for a tail to hang through, but it was better than dying in space. Thank you for saving my life, Mireya said formally. I am in your debt, Kate smiled. It was the right thing to do. Any human would have done the same. Mireya tilted her head in a gesture of doubt. I do not think a Xavarian patrol would have rescued a human. They would have reported the ship and continued their mission. Kate didn't know if that was true, but she could believe it. Relations between the species were civil but not warm. You should rest. Kate said, I need to report finding your ship A's. Kate left the quarters. She wondered what she would actually report. Protocol said she should take Mireya to the nearest diplomatic outpost for repatriation, but that would mean abandoning her patrol route for several weeks. Her commander would not be pleased, and something about Mireya's research troubled her. If the Xaverian authorities had tried to stop her work, they might not welcome her return. What would happen to the alien scientist if Kate followed protocol? Kate reached the control room and sat at the communications console. Her finger hovered over the transmit button. She had a decision to make, one that might change both their lives forever. Kate stared at the communications console for a long time before making her decision. She would not follow protocol exactly. Instead, she composed a carefully worded message to her commander. Lily Adams, Lieutenant Morgan, reporting discovery of damaged Xaverian science vessel in neutral space. One survivor aboard my ship. Xaverian female scientist named Mireya, alien, vessel beyond repair. Will continue patrol with Xaverian aboard. Pending further instructions. Kate sent the message knowing it would take several hours to receive a reply. In the meantime, she checked on her guest. Mireya was asleep, curled into a tight ball with her tail wrapped around her body. The position reminded Kate of a cat she had owned as a child, a pet named Whiskers. When Mireya woke, Kate brought her food. The ship synthesizer could create approximations of Xaverian cuisine, but they were not very good. Mireya ate politely, but without enthusiasm. I apologize for the food. Kate said. The synthesizer was programmed by humans who had never tasted Xaverian food. It is adequate. Mireya replied. I am grateful for any sustenance. They sat in awkward silence for a while. Neither knew much about the other's culture beyond official training materials. What will happen to me? Now Mireya asked finally. Will you take me to a diplomatic outpost? That would be protocol, Kate admitted. But it would mean abandoning my patrol route for 3 weeks. I am waiting for instructions from my commander. Mireya nodded, her ears twitching. Nervously, I would prefer not to be handed over to Xaverian authorities. My research is not popular with my government. Before Kate could respond, the communications console beeped. A message from Commander Adams had arrived. Kate excused herself and went to read it. The message was brief and not entirely friendly. Lieutenant Morgan, your decision to rescue the Xaverian was correct, but keeping her aboard is questionable. Protocol dictates immediate transfer to diplomatic channels. However, current situations make this difficult. Maintain your patrol route. Keep the alien under observation. Report any suspicious behavior. This incident will be noted in your file. Adams out. Kate smiled. Despite the formal language Commander Adams had given her, what she wanted permission to keep Mireya aboard. She returned to the dining area where Mireya waited. Good news, Kate said. You can stay aboard while I complete my patrol. It will be about 2 months before we return to human space. Mireya tail swished, showing her relief. Thank you, I can help with your duties. I am trained in stellar cartography and sensor analysis. Kate welcomed the offer. The Starlight Voyager was designed for a crew of 3, but budget cuts meant Kate served alone. Extra hands would make the work easier, even if they were alien hands with retractable claws. They settled into a routine. Kate showed Mireya the ship's systems, which were similar enough to Zavarian technology that the alien could learn them quickly. During the day, they worked together, monitoring sensors, updating star charts, and running system diagnostics. At night, they retreated to their separate quarters. Kate soon discovered that Mireya was intelligent and curious. The alien asked endless questions about humans, about Earth, about Kate herself. In return, Mireya shared stories of her homeworld, a planet with 3 moons and vast purple forests. One evening, Kate showed Mireya pictures from her childhood. One photo showed Kate as a little girl holding an orange cat. What is that creature? Mireya asked, pointing at the cat. That's Whiskers, my pet cat. Kate explained, cats are animals on Earth. They are small, furry creatures that humans keep as companions. Mireya studied the picture. Her ears flattened, a sign of annoyance. You keep creatures that look like my species as pets? Kate laughed. I never made that connection before. But yes, I suppose cats do look a bit like small Zavarians. Mireya did not seem amused. You remind me of Whiskers when you sleep, Kate said. You curl up the same way with your tail wrapped around you, I think. I'll call you Kitty. Mireya tilted her head in confusion. The universal translator struggled with the concept of nicknames. It's a friendly name, Kate explained. Humans often give special names to people they like. This seemed to please Mireya. Her tail swished gently and her ears perked up. This is acceptable, she said formally. But her eyes shimmered with what Kate thought might be happiness. After that night, something changed between them. Mireya began calling Kate by her first name, not her rank. She asked more personal questions about Kate's life, her family, her hopes for the future. Kate found herself enjoying the alien's company more than she had expected. Kate introduced Mireya to human music, playing recordings of everything from classical to rock to folk songs. Mireya was fascinated by folk music, saying the storytelling reminded her of Zavarian oral traditions. In return, Mireya sang Zavarian songs in her musical language. The translator couldn't capture the poetry. But Kate enjoyed the melodies as days passed into weeks. They grew more comfortable with each other. Kate no longer thought of Mireya as the alien, but as her companion, her friend. She looked forward to their conversations, their shared meals, their quiet evenings together. One night, Kate found Mireya in the observation lounge staring at the stars. The ship's lights were dimmed, and the viewport showed a spectacular view of a nearby nebula. Colorful gases swirled in patterns of red and blue. Mireya did not turn when Kate entered, but she knew she was there. Zavarians had excellent hearing. Your stars are different from the ones I grew up with, Mireya said softly. But they are beautiful, all the same. Kate sat beside her on the cushioned bench. Do you miss your home? Mireya was quiet for a long moment. I miss certain things. The smell of rainforest after a storm, the sound of the evening bells, the taste of fresh berries. But I do not miss the restrictions, the rigid thinking, the constant pressure to conform. Kate understood that feeling. She had joined the space service partly to escape the expectations of her family. They had wanted her to become a doctor like her mother and grandmother. But Kate had always looked to the stars. We are not so different, you and I. Kate said we both left our homes to pursue what we believed in. Mireya turned to look at her. The aliens. Silver eyes reflected the starlight. Her fur seemed to glow in the dim light of the observation lounge. Perhaps that is why we understand each other. Later that night, when Mireya had gone to her quarters, Kate checked the ship's log. Commander Adams had requested daily updates on the Zavarian. Kate had been providing basic reports. Mireya continues to assist with ship functions. No suspicious activity to report. But now, Kate wondered if she should mention how close they were becoming. How much she enjoyed Mireya's company. How the line between professional Duty and personal feelings was beginning to blur. She decided against it. Some things were better left unreported in her quarters. Kate looked at the old photo of herself with Whiskers the cat. She smiled, thinking of Mirea's reaction to the nickname, Kitty. The Zavarian had pretended to be offended, but Kate had seen the pleased twitch of her tail. Zavarians were not good at hiding their emotions, not when their tails gave them away. As she prepared for sleep, Kate realized that her lonely patrol had become something else entirely, something unexpected and precious. She was no longer alone among the stars, and for that she was grateful. The peaceful routine Kate and Mireia had established was interrupted 3 weeks into their journey. A sensor alert woke Kate from a sound sleep. She rushed to the control room to find Mireia already there, studying the display asteroid field. Kate asked, still groggy from sleep. Not on any charts, Mireia replied. Her clawed fingers moved over the controls with surprising dexterity. It appears to be recent, perhaps the remains of a shattered moon. Kate took her position at the helm. We need to alter. Course, it will add 2 days to our patrol, but safety comes first. Mireia ears flattened in disagreement. My sensors detect unusual mineral compositions in those asteroids. They may contain elements valuable to my research. Kate hesitated. Her mission was to patrol, not to conduct scientific research, but she had already bent the rules by keeping Mireia aboard. What was one more small deviation? Very well, she said. We will approach cautiously and take sensor readings. But at the first sign of danger, we leave. Mireia tail swished with excitement, showing her pleasure. Thank you, Kate. This could be important. They navigated carefully into the edge of the asteroid field. The rocks ranged in size from small pebbles to massive boulders larger than the ship. Kate kept the engines at quarter power, giving her more precise control. The ship's external sensors gathered data as they moved deeper into the field. Mireia was fascinated by the readings. The asteroids contained rare isotopes and unusual crystal formations. She directed Kate to move closer to a cluster of medium-sized rocks that showed particularly interesting properties. Kate complied but kept a watchful eye on the proximity alerts. The asteroids were moving in unpredictable patterns, some spinning rapidly, others drifting in slow arcs. She adjusted the ship's position, constantly staying clear of potential collisions. They had been in the field for nearly an hour when disaster struck. A small asteroid previously hidden behind a larger one suddenly appeared on their port side. Kate reacted instantly, firing thrusters to avoid a direct hit, but she wasn't quite fast enough. The asteroid grazed the ship with a horrific scraping sound. Metal tore and warning alarms blared throughout. The vessel Kate fought to stabilize their position as the ship spun from the impact status report. She called to Mireia, hull breach in Section 4. Mireia replied, reading from the damage control display, navigation system damaged, life support functioning. At 80%, emergency bulkheads have sealed the breach. Kate brought the ship to a complete stop relative to the nearby asteroids. We need to make repairs. The navigation system is critical. We cannot continue without it. They donned spacesuits and prepared to go outside the ship. The Starlight Voyager had an external access hatch that would allow them to reach the damaged section. Kate collected repair tools, while Mireia studied the ship's schematics before opening the hatch. Kate checked Mireia's suit. The Zavarian spacesuit was similar to a human one, but with modifications for her tail and different body proportions. Kate made sure all seals were secure and communications were working. Stay close to me, Kate said over the radio. Follow my lead and do exactly as I say. Mireia nodded, her helmeted head visible through the clear faceplate. I will not take unnecessary risks. They exited the ship together, connected by safety tethers. The damaged section was clearly visible. A jagged tear ran along the hull where the navigation sensor array was mounted. Loose wires and broken components floated in the vacuum. Kate anchored herself to the hull using magnetic boots, then secured an additional tether for Mireia. The Zavarian moved with surprising grace in zero gravity. Her tail helped her balance even in the bulky spacesuit. They worked together in silence, focused on the repairs. Kate replaced damaged circuit boards while Mireia reconnected wiring harnesses. The work was delicate, made more difficult by their gloved hands and the awkward angle of the damage as they worked. Kate realized how well they functioned as a team. They anticipated each other's needs, passing tools without being asked, moving out of the way when necessary. It was as if they had trained together for years, not weeks. After 2 hours of intense work, Kate tested the navigation system. The main sensors responded, but the secondary array remained offline. "We need to replace the backup module," she told Mireia. "Zavarian studied the damage. I believe I can reroute the secondary functions through the primary system. It will not be ideal, but it will work until we reach a proper repair facility." Kate was impressed. That would require extensive reprogramming of the sensor protocols. "Can you do that?" Mireia tail swished inside her suit, causing her to rotate slightly. "I was lead programmer for my research vessel systems before becoming a scientist. This is simple by comparison." With Kate's help, Mireia made the necessary modifications. When they tested the system again, all navigation functions responded. The ship was spaceworthy once more. They returned inside, removing their helmets with sighs of relief. Spacewalks were always dangerous, and this one had been particularly stressful. Kate realized she had been worried not just for herself but for Mireia as well. The thought of the Zavarian being injured or worse had filled her with unexpected dread that night after completing internal repairs. They sat together in the observation lounge. The asteroid field glittered outside the viewport like a field of diamonds. "Thank you for your help today," Kate said. "You saved us from being stranded." Mireia ears twitched in embarrassment. "I caused the problem by asking to enter the asteroid field. It was only right that I help fix it. We both decided to explore." Kate corrected. "And I learned something about you today." "What is that?" "That you are more than a scientist. You have many skills." Mireia was quiet for a moment. "Among my people, we are expected to master multiple disciplines. My family has a tradition of engineering excellence. I disappointed them by choosing scientific research." Kate was surprised. This was the first time Mireia had mentioned her family. "Tell me about them." Mireia's tail drooped, a sign of sadness. "My father is a ship designer. My mother builds navigation systems. My siblings, all 6 of them, followed similar paths. I was the only one who questioned our assigned role, who wanted to explore the stars rather than build the vessels that travel among them. They did not approve." Mireia made a soft hissing sound. "That is an understatement. They considered my choice a rejection of family tradition, an insult to generations of engineers. When I left to pursue my research, my father said I was no longer his daughter." Kate reached out, instinctively touching Mireia's hand. "I'm sorry. That must have been painful." The Zavarian looked down at their joined hands, human fingers intertwined with her own clawed ones. "It was necessary," she said softly. "Some journeys require us to leave behind what we know, even those we love." In the days that followed, they grew closer still. Kate shared stories of her own family. Her parents' divorce when she was 12. The struggle to find her own path when everyone had expectations for her. The freedom she had found among the stars. Mireia, in turn, spoke of Zavarian culture, the importance of community, the pressure to conform, the beauty of their arts and music. The limitations placed on those who thought differently. Kate began to understand why Mireia's research was considered dangerous. It threatened the Zavarian belief in their uniqueness, their special place in the universe. One evening, Kate found Mireia in the small science lab examining samples collected from the asteroid field. The Zavarian had set up a makeshift laboratory using equipment from her damaged ship and items borrowed from the Starlight Voyager's medical bay. "How is the research going?" Kate asked. Mireia looked up from her microscope. "These samples confirm my theory. The genetic material found in these asteroids contains markers common to both humans and Zavarians. We share ancestral DNA that seems impossible." Kate said, "Our species evolved on planets light years apart. Not if both planets were seeded by the same source," Mireia explained. "An ancient spacefaring race, perhaps, or organic material carried by asteroids, similar to these spreading through the galaxy." Kate considered. The implications, if true. This discovery would revolutionize understanding of both species. It would also challenge the basis of Xaverian claims to superiority. No wonder Mireya's research was unpopular with her government. You have proof of this. Mireya gestured to her data storage devices. Extensive proof genetic samples from 20 worlds, analysis of evolutionary patterns, comparative biology. Everything points to a common origin approximately 3 million years ago. Kate realized she was witnessing something historic, something that could change relations between humans and Xaverians forever. But she also recognized the danger. This knowledge threatened those who preferred the current balance of power. What will you do with this research, she asked. Mireya tail swished slowly, a sign of determination. I will share it with scientists from both species, those who value truth over politics. Together we can build a new understanding between our peoples. Kate admired her courage and conviction. In that moment she knew she would help Mireya succeed whatever the cost. Whatever it took, they would bring this truth to light together. Kate and Mireya had settled into a comfortable routine as the patrol continued. They shared meals, worked together, and spent evenings discussing their cultures. Kate found herself looking forward to these conversations. She had never expected to find such a connection with an alien, especially not a Xaverian. 6 weeks into their journey, Kate received a transmission from Commander Adams. The message was brief, but concerning. Lieutenant Morgan, be advised, Xaverian authorities have inquired about a missing scientist. They claim she stole classified research. You are ordered to report any contact with Xaverian vessels immediately. Adams out. Kate showed the message to Mireya. The Xaverian read it with her ears flat against her head, a clear sign of distress. They are looking for me, she said. My superiors must have discovered I took my research when I left. They will claim it is their property, though I developed it independently. What will happen if they find you? Kate asked. Mireya tail twitched. Nervously, I will be arrested. My work will be confiscated or destroyed. I will never be allowed to conduct research again. Her silver eyes met Kate's. They might also punish you for harboring me. Kate had not considered that possibility. Her career could be at risk, even her freedom. If Xaverian authorities accused her of helping a criminal, she was already bending regulations by keeping Mireya aboard. We should be fine, Kate said. We are in a remote sector. Most patrols avoid this area because of the radiation from the nearby nebula. For the next week, they continued their work, but with heightened awareness, Kate modified the ship's sensors to give earlier warnings of approaching vessels. Mireya spent more time in the makeshift lab analyzing her data and preparing her research for eventual publication. They were running a routine scan of a nearby star system when the alarm sounded. Kate rushed to the control room. Mireya close behind. A ship had appeared on long-range sensors, heading directly toward them. It was moving fast, too fast for a civilian vessel, Xaverian military cruiser. Mireya said, reading the sensor data. It's a Shadowclaw-class patrol ship. Heavily armed and very fast. Can they detect us? Kate asked. Mireya nodded. They already have. The course correction they just made indicates they are tracking us. Kate considered their options. The Starlight Voyager was not built for speed. It was a patrol vessel designed for endurance, not pursuit. The Xaverian ship would overtake them in hours. We could try to explain. Kate suggested, tell them the truth about your research. Mireya hissed softly. They will not listen. The commander of that vessel has his orders. Capture the criminal scientist and her stolen data. They will not care about scientific truth. The communications system chimed. An incoming transmission. Kate looked at Mireya, who nodded grimly. They had no choice but to respond. Kate activated the view screen. A Xaverian male appeared. His fur was dark blue, almost black, and he wore a military uniform with insignia Kate did not recognize. His yellow eyes narrowed when he saw Kate. Human vessel. This is Commander Vex of the Xaverian Defense Force. You are harboring a fugitive. We demand you surrender the scientist, Mireya, and all materials in her possession immediately. Kate kept her expression neutral. Commander Vex, I am Lieutenant Kate Morgan of the Earth Alliance Border Patrol. I was not aware that my passenger was a fugitive. What are the charges against her? The Zavarian. Commander bared his teeth in what might have been a smile or a threat. Theft of government property, espionage, spreading harmful misinformation. That is all you need to know, Lieutenant. Prepare to be boarded. The screen went dark. Kate turned to Mireya. This is bad. Mireya nodded, her ears flat against her head. Commander Vex has a reputation for ruthlessness. He will take what he wants and destroy what he cannot take. Kate checked the tactical display. The Zavarian ship would reach them in less than 2 hours. They needed a plan, and quickly. What about the nebula? Kate suggested, suddenly pointing to the colorful cloud of gas visible through the viewport. The radiation would interfere with sensors. It might hide us. Mireya studied the navigational charts. Navigation through a nebula is extremely dangerous. Without precise readings, we could collide with gas pockets dense enough to damage the ship. Can you modify our sensors to compensate, Mireya? You said you were a programmer. The Zavarian hesitated, then nodded. I can try. Using my knowledge of Zavarian sensor technology, I might be able to create a hybrid system that would give us an advantage. While Mireya worked on the sensors, Kate plotted a course into the nebula. She needed a path that would appear random to pursuers but actually lead them to the other side. The nebula stretched for nearly a light year in all directions. It would take days to search it thoroughly. Mireya returned to the control room an hour later. I have modified the forward sensors, she announced. They will give us approximately 10 seconds of warning before we encounter dangerous density levels. It is not much, but it should be enough if your reflexes are good. Kate smiled grimly. My reflexes are excellent. Hold on, this might get rough. She engaged the engines, pushing them to maximum power. The ship accelerated toward the nebula. Behind them, the Zavarian cruiser adjusted course to follow. The gap was closing, but they would reach the nebula first as they approached. The edge of the colorful gas cloud, Kate received another communication from Commander Vex. This is foolish human, he said. The nebula will destroy your ship. Surrender now and you may yet live. Kate ignored the message. She focused on her flying as they plunged into the swirling gases. The view screen showed streams of red and blue and purple surrounding the ship. The sensors immediately began to fluctuate as radiation interfered with the readings. Density increase ahead. Mireya called reading from her modified display. Adjust course 3 degrees starboard. Kate made the correction, narrowly avoiding a pocket of dense gas that might have damaged their hull. They continued deeper into the nebula, changing course, frequently making their path as unpredictable as possible. Behind them, the Zavarian ship followed more cautiously. Its larger size made it less maneuverable in the dangerous environment. Kate took advantage of this, flying through narrower gaps and tighter turns. Her years of training were paying off as she pushed the Starlight Voyager to its limits. For hours they played this deadly game of hide-and-seek, Kate, flying by instinct, and Mireya's warnings. Twice they came dangerously close to disaster. Once, when a sudden density shift nearly overwhelmed the engines, and again, when electrical discharges within the nebula temporarily disabled their shields. But the Zavarian ship was having even more trouble. Kate could see on the rear sensors that it was falling behind, struggling to track them through the interference. Eventually, it disappeared from their sensors entirely. We should still assume they are following us. Kate said, We need to keep moving. Mireya agreed. Her silver eyes were bright with excitement despite the danger. We have an advantage now. My sensor modifications are based on technology they don't know I have. They continued through the nebula for 2 more days, navigating by Mireya's enhanced sensors and Kate's growing familiarity with the gas patterns. Finally, they emerged on the far side. The stars looked different here. They were in a sector Kate had never patrolled. Are we safe? Kate asked. For now, Mireya replied. But Commander Vex will not give up so easily. He will report to his superiors. They will send more ships. Kate checked their position according to the navigation system. They were far from their assigned patrol route. In fact, they were closer to the edge of human space than to the border they were supposed to be monitoring. We can't go back. To Earth Alliance territory, Kate said. Not yet. You would be handed over to Zavarian authorities under the extradition agreement. Where can we go then? Mireia asked, her tail drooping slightly. Kate thought for a moment, then smiled. I know someone we can trust, my old academy roommate Susan Bailey. She runs a small research station on Frontier 7. It's technically a human colony, but so remote that official oversight is minimal. Mireia tilted her head, considering the option. Will your friend welcome? A Zavarian fugitive, Susan is a scientist first and an Alliance citizen second. Kate said she believes in truth and discovery above politics. And she owes me a favor. Kate set a course for Frontier 7. It would take them 2 weeks to reach the remote outpost. During that time, they would need to be constantly vigilant. The Zavarians would be searching, and Kate was now officially absent from her patrol route. Commander Adams would have questions that night after setting the autopilot. Kate found Mireia in the observation lounge. The Zavarian was staring at the unfamiliar stars. Her tail was wrapped around her legs, a position Kate now recognized as one of deep thought. You risked everything for me today, Mireia said softly. Your career, your freedom, perhaps even your life. Why, Kate sat beside her. It was the right thing to do. Mireia turned to look at her. No human risking themselves for a Zavarian is not the expected response. There must be more. Kate was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached out and took Mireia's hand, their fingers intertwining human and alien together. Perhaps I care more than I should, she admitted softly. Mireia's eyes shimmered in the dim light. I too care more than is wise, Kate Morgan, but I find I cannot regret. They sat together watching the stars, neither needing to say more. For now they were safe, they were together, and somehow they would find a way forward together. The journey to Frontier 7 took longer than Kate had planned. They had to take an indirect route, avoiding main travel lanes and known patrol sectors. Twice they detected Zavarian ships in nearby systems and had to hide in asteroid belts or behind moons until the danger passed. During this time, Kate received multiple messages from Commander Adams. Each one was more urgent than the last, demanding to know her location and why she had abandoned her patrol route. Kate sent vague replies citing navigation problems and sensor malfunctions. She knew these excuses would not satisfy Adams for long. Mireia spent the journey organizing her research, preparing presentations and papers that would explain her findings to scientists of both species. She worked tirelessly, often forgetting to eat or sleep until Kate reminded her. Kate found Mireia asleep at the science console one night. The Zavarian was slumped over her datapad, her tail curled around the legs of the chair. Kate stood watching her for a moment, feeling a surge of protective affection. She gently woke Mireia and led her to proper quarters. You need real rest, Kate said. Not just catnaps at your workstation. Mireia yawned, showing pointed teeth. Sorry, I lost track of time. There is so much to organize. Kate smiled, using her nickname Kitty. You need to take care of yourself. Your research won't matter if you collapse from exhaustion. The Zavarian did not protest. She was too tired. Her silver eyes were dull with fatigue. Kate helped her to her quarters and made sure she actually got into bed. Before leaving, she impulsively leaned down and pressed her lips to Mireia's forehead. The Zavarian's fur was soft against her skin. Sleep. Well, Kate whispered. Mireia caught her hand as she turned to leave. Stay, she said softly. I sleep better when you're near. Kate hesitated, then nodded. She kicked off her boots and lay down beside Mireia. The bed was small, forcing them close together. Mireia curled against her tail, draped over Kate's legs. The Zavarian was asleep within minutes, her breathing deep and even. Kate lay awake longer, watching the alien scientist sleep. She had never expected this, never imagined she could feel this way about someone not human, someone with fur and a tail, and silver eyes. But here she was, protective, caring deeply for a Zavarian fugitive. The universe was strange and wonderful. Finally, Kate reached Frontier 7. It was a small planet on the edge of human space. Its single settlement was built around a research station studying local plant life, Susan Bailey had been appointed director 2 years earlier, after publishing groundbreaking work on xenobotany. Kate sent a coded message to Susan as they approached the planet, a simple phrase that would tell her old friend she needed help without alerting authorities. Susan's reply came quickly. "Welcome, travelers. The garden gate is open." It was their old academy code, meaning safe passage was guaranteed. Kate guided the Starlight Voyager to the landing pad beside the research station. The settlement was small, just a few dozen buildings surrounding a central laboratory complex. Fields of alien crops stretched into the distance, tended by automated systems. Susan was waiting when they landed. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and bright blue eyes that missed nothing. Her expression remained neutral when she saw Mireya step from the ship, but Kate knew her friend well enough to recognize her surprise. The three of them walked quickly to Susan's private office. No one questioned the presence of a Xaverian. The remote outpost often hosted visiting scientists of various species. Once the door closed, Susan turned to Kate. "What kind of trouble are you in?" Kate explained everything. Finding Mireya's damaged ship, discovering her research, the pursuit by Commander Vex, their escape through the nebula. Susan listened without interruption, occasionally glancing at Mireya with scientific curiosity. When Kate finished, Susan sighed deeply. "You always did find the most interesting problems, Kate. Even at the academy. Will you help us?" Kate asked. Susan nodded. "Of course, I've never turned away genuine scientific discovery. And your Xaverian friend looks harmless enough." Despite the claws and teeth, Mireya bristled slightly at this but said nothing. Susan showed them to a small house on the edge of the settlement. It had 2 bedrooms, a common area, and a small laboratory perfect for their needs. "You can stay here," she told them. "No one will ask questions. This is a scientific outpost, not a military base. We value knowledge above politics." Over the next few weeks, Mireya worked with Susan to verify her research. Susan provided equipment and expertise, helping to confirm Mireya's findings. With each new test, the evidence grew stronger. Humans and Xaverians shared genetic markers that could only be explained by a common origin. Kate, meanwhile, monitored communications from both human and Xaverian authorities. Commander Adams had officially listed her as absent without leave, a serious charge that could end her career. The Xaverian government had issued a warrant for Mireya's arrest, accusing her of theft and espionage. Despite these worries, Kate found herself enjoying their time on Frontier 7. The simple house became a home. Mireya set up her laboratory in one room. Kate established a communications center in another. In the evenings, they would cook meals together, sharing stories and growing closer. One night, as they sat on the small porch watching Frontier 7's 3 moons rise, Kate asked Mireya about the future. "What happens after your research is published? Assuming people believe it." Mireya's tail swished thoughtfully. "Everything changes. Or nothing does. It depends on whether people are ready for truth. My findings prove we are not so different. Not separate creations, but branches of the same ancient tree. Some will embrace this knowledge, others will deny it, no matter the evidence." "And what about us?" Kate asked softly. "What happens to us?" Mireya turned to look at her silver eyes reflecting moonlight. "I do not know, but I hope we remain together. Whatever comes next, I would face it with you." Kate reached for Mireya's hand, their fingers intertwining as they had so many times before. "I want that too," she said. 3 months after their arrival on Frontier 7, Susan came to their house with news. Representatives from both human and Xaverian scientific academies had requested a meeting. They wanted to see Mireya's research firsthand. "This is what we hoped for," Mireya said, her tail swishing with excitement. "An opportunity to present my findings to those who can make a difference." Kate was less enthusiastic. "What if it's a trap? The Xaverian military could be using this as a way to find you." Susan shook her head. "I know the human scientists personally. They are respected researchers, not government agents. The Xaverians are from the Science Academy, not the military or government." After much discussion, they agreed to the meeting. It would take place in 1 week at the research station. Mireya spent the days preparing her presentation. Kate watched with a mixture of pride and anxiety. The Zavarian was brilliant, passionate about her work, but Kate worried about what would happen after the truth was revealed. The night before the meeting, Kate found Mireia in their small living room packing her data devices and samples. The Zavarian was nervous, her tail twitching, her ears flicking back and forth. "Everything will be fine," Kate assured her. "Your research is solid. The evidence is clear." Mireia set down the sample she was holding. "I am not worried about the research. I am worried about us. After tomorrow, everything changes. I may be celebrated as a visionary, or condemned as a traitor. Either way, we cannot stay hidden here." Kate took Mireia's hands in hers. "Whatever happens, we face it together. Remember, I didn't risk my career and possibly my freedom just to abandon you." Now Mireia pressed her forehead against Kate's, a traditional Zavarian gesture of deep trust and affection. "You gave me a nickname," she said softly, "and now I cannot imagine sleeping anywhere but near you." That night, Mireia slept curled against Kate, as had become their habit. Her tail occasionally twitched with dreams. Kate lay awake watching the Zavarian sleep, thinking about all that had happened since she found that damaged ship drifting in space. Her life had changed in ways she could never have imagined, and she regretted none of it. The meeting took place in the station's main conference room. 5 scientists had arrived, 3 humans and 2 Zavarians. All were distinguished in their fields. All had the authority to validate or dismiss Mireia's research. Kate sat at the back of the room while Mireia presented her findings. The Zavarian was magnificent, confident and clear as she explained her discoveries. She showed genetic samples, evolutionary patterns, archaeological evidence, all pointing to the same conclusion: humans and Zavarians shared a common ancestor millions of years ago. The scientists asked questions, challenged assumptions, demanded proof. Mireia answered everything with patience and precision. By the end of the day, even the most skeptical seemed convinced. Not that they openly admitted it. They would need time to verify independently, to consult with colleagues, to consider implications. As the meeting concluded, the senior Zavarian scientist approached Mireia. "Your work is thorough," he said. His tone was neutral, but his tail showed agitation. "Our government will not welcome these findings." Mireia stood tall, her own tail still. "I did not pursue this research for political reasons. Truth exists whether we acknowledge it or not." The scientist nodded. Then, turning to Kate, he added, "You have chosen an unusual companion human. One might even say unprecedented." Kate stepped forward, standing beside Mireia. "I found something precious among the stars," she said. "I have no regrets." That night, as news of the meeting spread, Susan came to warn them officials from both governments were on their way. Representatives, ministers, perhaps even military. They would arrive within days.